In just 1 month, on November 12, 2018, it'll be the anniversary of one of the most infamous comments that currently exists on the internet. I'm of course referring to EA's justification for Battlefront 2's loot boxes and locked heroes, which reads, quote, "The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes." It didn't take long for the post to become the most downvoted comment in Reddit history, and I don't think anything's come close since. EA's notorious response has become a widespread meme ever since, a universal symbol for the shameless bullshit that greedy game publishers like to spout to justify their predatory practices at the expense of their game's integrity and the player experience. This is without a doubt one of EA's lowest points, and that's saying something given how many low points the company's had throughout its existence, and people continue to poke fun at the abhorred publisher for this even today. Now, one game development studio that's decided to join the choir is Ubisoft Quebec, developers of the recently released Assassin's Creed Odyssey. In the game, it's actually possible to find an Easter egg that pokes fun at the Battlefront 2 loot box controversy. As shown in this video uploaded by YouTube user, I'm not gonna even try to read that. There comes a point in the game in which you'll be able to face a Minotaur in battle, but to do so, players must first gather 3 tokens that can be earned by completing challenges, but some can also be obtained by paying off a token's respective trial master. Now, for one trial master, specifically the one for the trial of accuracy, after he presents to you the task involved in acquiring his token, one dialogue option has the player character asking if they can just buy the trial token outright, to which the trial master responds as follows.
Aren't you supposed to ask if I'll buy the trial token from you?
You want to pay to win? That's, aren't you a warrior? Where's your honor? Where's your sense of pride and accomplishment?
Yeah, the reference there is pretty blatant. It's quite clear that this is Ubisoft dissing and poking fun at EA for the controversy they caused when they decided to try to pass one by the gaming community with Star Wars Battlefront 2's pay-to-win loot boxes and their utterly stupid response. Now, while I will admit that this was a pretty clever way of referencing this scornful incident, I cannot say that Ubisoft is entirely innocent with some of their monetization schemes. While I would hardly say their in-game purchases are as bad as some of the crap EA has tried to pull, Ubisoft is also far from a saint when it comes to monetization. We all know about how the publisher retroactively added loot boxes to Rainbow Six Siege and jacked up base prices once the game picked up steam after its initial rough launch. We know how games like The Division implemented microtransactions, despite Ubisoft having promised this would not happen. Now, granted, none of these games' recurrent monetization systems enable a pay-to-win system, at least last I checked, but they do still offer players the ability to pay real-world money for the chance of obtaining a desired reward, which is predatory in nature. And then there is Assassin's Creed Odyssey itself, which is actually a wonderful game with its beautifully realized open-world ancient Greece, deep RPG mechanics, refined gameplay, and an abundance of content for players to get lost in. But one aspect of its microtransaction system that's become a topic of contention since the game's launch is the time savers, particularly the XP boosters. Now, as I've said before, I think whether the XP boosters bother you or not will depend on the kind of player that you are. Those who partake in a healthy mix of side quests and grind while tackling the main campaign will probably never give the existence of XP boosters a second thought, and may in turn feel as though the criticisms surrounding the feature are exaggerated. But those who favor the main campaign and only partake in side quests in moderation, or prefer to save most of them for a later time, may feel the game to be artificially grindy, especially with some of the late game level gates that permeate the experience. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there is definitely the sense that side quests aren't entirely optional to an extent, and depending on your playstyle, this may be something that doesn't really bother you at all, or something that feels genuinely intrusive. For the latter crowd, that does feel as though this aspect mars enjoyment. Ubisoft offers a solution, XP boosters, but the problem is that rather than just allowing players to toggle it as an inherent gameplay feature, the publisher decided to charge a hefty $10 for it. There are plenty of people out there who have found that activating the XP booster did actually offer a more preferable rate of progression compared to the game's default setting. Again, I think it all comes down to preference, but for the crowd that prefers the gameplay flow with the boosted experience gains activated, one has to wonder where their player choice actually was. That's the justification that Ubisoft is providing. It's about giving players options. But when you have to shell out additional cash, it's not really an option, it's just a separately sold product, a paywalled feature. Why not just implement the ability for players to tailor the game's rate of progression to their liking? Why not make it as simple as it is to toggle a difficulty mode? That way, players who lean more towards being completionists and are all about doing as many side quests that they come across as possible could play the game in its default setting, while those who would prefer to focus on the main campaign and prefer the flow of the faster leveling can boost XP earnings to their liking. By implementing XP boosters as a genuinely optional feature rather than a paywalled one, everybody wins, but what we have instead is that a certain segment of the player base feel like they got the shorter end of the stick. Perhaps that crowd is more in the minority here, I cannot say for sure, but enough people do feel the effects of the paywalled XP boosters for the issue to warrant attention. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that as much as I appreciate anyone who goes out of their way to remind us of just how full of shit EA is by poking fun at their infamous sense of pride and accomplishment comment, while I bask at any opportunity to highlight why EA continues to be among the worst video game publishers in our modern times, I cannot really give Ubisoft an all-approving high five when they themselves dabble in some shady dealings. They are nowhere near as bad as EA, they are definitely more low-key about monetizing their games, but there is enough of it there for Ubisoft to come off as a bit hypocritical. Now, if a company like CD Projekt Red were to include a joke like this in Cyberpunk 2077, a game that the studio has promised will not include any form of microtransactions whatsoever, I would have every reason to give them a fully approving high five, as the studio actually fully practices what they preach. Hell, you may actually recall that Witcher 3 actually took a jab at DRM, which is fully justified because it's a practice that CD Projekt Red has been critical of and something they've never partaken in, promising the same will apply to Cyberpunk 2077. In my opinion, being the lesser of evils isn't enough to absolve Ubisoft of the fact that they still have ways to go before they can really be considered consumer-friendly, before they can start calling out other companies for their greedy practices without coming off like pretenders. Still, fuck EA and their sense of pride and accomplishment bullshit. Let that phrase continue to haunt the company for eons to come, whether it's through discussion or through video game Easter eggs, so they can be reminded of what happens when they treat consumers like they're worthless cattle who will just eat up gold-coated bullshit served on a phony silver platter. Anyway, with that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.